All right, today we're going to dive into something truly mind-bending, a radical new theory about our universe. And get this, it's an idea so profound it claims to solve some of the biggest, most stubborn mysteries in cosmology. But not by just adding new stuff to our models. No, this one wants to rewrite the very rulebook of reality itself.
So you gotta ask, right? Is everything we think we know about the universe just plain wrong? I mean, it sounds dramatic, but right now the standard model, the one in all the textbooks, is facing what one paper literally calls an unprecedented empirical collapse. Why? Well, because we're getting a ton of new, super precise data, and honestly, it just doesn't fit. Okay, so take dark matter. For decades, we've been told that a whopping 85% of all this stuff in the universe is this invisible substance. We've built these massive, super sensitive detectors deep underground to hunt for it. And after all that time, you know what we found? Absolutely nothing. Zilch. The ghost particle is still a ghost. And if that wasn't weird enough, get this, astronomers have started finding ghost galaxies. Now, the theory says a galaxy needs this huge dark matter skeleton, right? It's the scaffolding that holds it all together. But these galaxies, like one named DF2, they seem to have no dark matter at all. They're just there. They shouldn't exist, but they do. Then, if you zoom way, way out to the biggest scales imaginable, we hit another wall. There's this fundamental rule in cosmology, kind of like a cosmic speed limit for size, that says no single structure should be bigger than about 1.2 billion light years across. But guess what? We're finding them. Astronomers have spotted things like the Giant Arc, a string of galaxies that's over 3 billion light years long. These things are just too big. They break the rules. So what does all this add up to? Well, it means our standard model of the universe, the one called lambda CDM, it's not just creaking, it's breaking. It can't explain the particles we can't find, the galaxies that shouldn't be there, or the structures that are way too big. The model is just failing the test, big time. Okay, so with all those problems on the table, let's get into the solution. A new theory is proposing a huge shift in thinking. Instead of just inventing more phantom particles to plug the holes in the old model, it asks, what if the problem is way more fundamental? Think about it like this. A 2D drawing sits on a 3D piece of paper, right? So what if our whole 3D universe is just the surface of something in a higher hidden dimension? And that is the core of this radical new idea. What if our universe is actually a four-dimensional membrane, a brane, as they call it, that's vibrating in a fifth dimension? This is it, the oscillating brane theory. It asks us to imagine the cosmos not as some cold, empty void, but as a living, elastic sheet. And this sheet isn't just sitting there, it's breathing. It's oscillating on this unbelievably grand cycle, every 2 billion years. And crazy as it sounds, this one idea, it might just have the power to explain everything we've been talking about. Yeah, I know, it's a totally mind-bending idea, but there's actually a surprisingly simple way to wrap your head around it. Just imagine our entire universe is like the skin of a giant drum. And if we can figure out the physics of that drum, well then we can start to solve all these cosmic mysteries. And this isn't just some random metaphor either. It's based on a real thing called cymatics. You know, way back in 1787, this physicist, Ernst Chladni, did a cool experiment. He sprinkled sand on a metal plate and then made it vibrate with a violin bow. And the sand didn't just fly around randomly. No, it organized itself into these beautiful, perfect patterns. It got pushed away from the parts that were vibrating like crazy, the antinodes, and it all piled up in the spots that were perfectly still, the nodes. And that simple experiment with sand on a plate, it perfectly illustrates what this oscillating brane theory says is happening across the entire universe. The cosmic membrane itself vibrates, creating these massive standing waves. So the vibrating antinodes, where all the sand piled up, that's where we see the huge gravitational effects that we've been calling dark matter. And the quiet nodes, where there was no sand at all, you guessed it, that's where we find the ghost galaxies. I mean, it's a stunningly elegant solution, right? The standard model has to invent all these complicated one-off events like galactic smash-ups to try and explain a galaxy with no dark matter. But in this new model, a galaxy like DF2 isn't some weird fluke. It's just sitting on one of the quiet, still nodes of the cosmic drum. And here's the kicker. The theory actually predicts that about 3.4% of all galaxies should look like this, which is exactly what astronomers are starting to find. It's a perfect match. Okay, so the quiet nodes explain the ghost galaxies perfectly. But what about the other side of the coin? What about the vibrating antinodes where the sand should be piling up? Well, that's where all the matter and energy should be gathering. And according to this theory, that's where we should see structures forming that are way, way bigger than the standard model's 1.2 billion light-year limit. So we look out into space, and what do we see? Exactly that. These monster structures, like the giant arc and the big ring, they are the physical proof of these huge cosmic vibrations.
All right, so that's the super big scale. Now let's switch gears and go all the way down to the subatomic. Because this theory also claims it can solve the paradox of an impossible particle. And this time, it's not about vibrations, it's about a leak into that fifth dimension.
So back in 2021, a single particle hit our atmosphere. They named it Amaterasu, and its energy was just off the charts. We're talking 2.44 times 10 to the 20th electron volts. To put that in perspective, that is 40 million times more powerful than the biggest smash we can make at the Large Hadron Collider. It's like taking the raw energy of a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and cramming it all into a single tiny proton. Just insane.
Now, according to standard physics, this particle just shouldn't exist, period. See, the universe is full of this ancient light left over from the Big Bang, and it acts like a thick fog, or like cosmic friction. Any particle with that much juice should get its energy zapped away after traveling only about 160 million light years. It's a hard limit, called the GZK limit. And to make the mystery even deeper, when they traced this particle's path back, it came from a huge empty patch of space. There's nothing out there powerful enough to have made it.
So, how on earth did it survive the trip? Let's check out this graph. The gray line shows you what standard physics says should happen. The energy plummets, and the particle basically gets destroyed. But the blue line? That's the new theory. It says when the particle hits that cosmic fog, all that insane energy doesn't just pop into other particles. Instead, it temporarily leaks into the fifth dimension. It's like a cosmic pressure release valve.
And by leaking that energy away, the particle avoids being destroyed. This lets it travel so much farther. We're talking 60 times farther. It extends its range from about 160 million light years to almost 8 billion light years. And just like that, the paradox disappears. The particle didn't come from that empty void nearby. It came from a super distant source, and it just used the fifth dimension as a shortcut to survive the journey.
So, when you put all this together, what you get is a completely new picture of reality. It's wild. By just changing our most basic ideas about spacetime, this one theory gives us a single unified way to solve these huge problems at every single scale of the universe.
Just think about how elegant this is for a second. You have one idea, a vibrating 4D membrane in a 5D space. And that one idea solves 3 of the biggest puzzles in cosmology. The impossible particles, they're just leaking into another dimension. The ghost galaxies, they're just chilling out in the universe's quiet zones. And those 2 big structures, that's just matter piling up where the universe is vibrating the most. It all just clicks. And this leaves us with a truly awe-inspiring picture of the cosmos. As the people behind this theory put it, and I think this is just beautiful, the universe is not an inert void. It is a vast, interconnected organism, a resonant topological entity beating to a 2 billion-year symphony.
Which leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. If this theory is right, then everything we see, everything we are, from the smallest particle to the biggest thing in the cosmos, is all just part of one grand cosmic vibration. And that leaves us with the ultimate question. Are we all just living on the skin of a cosmic drum?